Hey everybody, Derek here. I'm here to bring you another video for The Walking Dead Season 5. And today what I wanted to do was a video based on comparing and contrasting two of in my opinion, the greatest episodes that Walking Dead have ever done since they started the series. And those episodes are Too Far Gone and Four Walls and a Roof. And just comparing and contrasting them, you know, to see what the differences are and maybe try to pick one that is probably better than the other. Because I think that, in my opinion, Too Far Gone was the best episode that the show had made. And no episode was really one that could really battle with it because of all the things they did. But I feel like Four Walls and a Roof definitely has some potential to be able to topple Too Far Gone as the best episode because a lot of things happened in it, and there are a lot of things that I can see that are basically the same or better with both episodes, and I kind of want to address those different things about both of them. So, again, just in case you have not watched the most recent episode, there will be spoilers. So, if you have not watched them, please do not watch the video as it will contain spoilers. Okay. So, Too Far Gone, Season 4, Episode 8, and Season 5, Episode 3's Four Walls and a Roof, both have done, very shocking things that definitely make them very entertaining episodes. For one, they were both game changers. There's no doubt that you can't look at both of those episodes and say they didn't change the way that the show was going to work. I mean, Too Far Gone comes along and it completely destroys the home that Rick and the group had been building ever since the third season premiere with the prison. Governor's group comes, tears the fences apart, kills a bunch of people, and everybody's scattered and has to run and find shelter. Definitely was a very intense, game-changing episode. And here you have the exact same thing where Rick and the group are forced to go head to head with another group of terrible people that are trying to ruin what Rick and the group are trying to do, which is survive and go to Washington, and they want him for dinner. And, Rick and the group are basically able to overcome the hunters, and they are able to kill them in the church. And, both definitely did a great job of, giving us that shock value, that game changer where, wow, the storyline is never going to be the same after this. And, bringing arcs of stories to a close. So they both had that. They both definitely had the edge of your seat, action that you needed, definitely kept you on your seat because you were very intense. You were trying to figure out what was going on. So you had that. A lot of great acting definitely went into those episodes. I mean, Too Far Gone, you had, Rick, the governor, Herschel, a lot of people doing a great job of acting. And in this episode, you have Rick, you have Gareth, Bob, Sasha. You have a lot of people that are definitely doing a great job of acting in these episodes. So the performances were absolutely amazing. And both of them do feature the death of a very loved character. We can't deny that Herschel was definitely a great moral compass for the group, definitely was a very nice guy that we grew to love as a character. And, even though Bob wasn't around as long as Herschel, I know that a lot of people had a very positive reaction to Bob. I know I did. I really loved how Bob changed so much. I mean, I will never forget when I was first watching, I thought, oh, that Bob is a crazy alcoholic who's probably feeding walkers with rats and he's, doing this. I thought Bob was the one that was responsible because, again, you knew that Bob was based off of a character in the comic books that he was one of the governor's people. And maybe people were thinking, oh, maybe he's from the governor's camp and he came over and he's a spy. And I remember a lot of people were thinking that, and turned out to not be the case. And he turned out to be a guy who had been alone for a long time, lost two groups, found Rick in the group, became a very important member, overcame a lot of his, problems with being alone, and losing groups and alcoholism, and turned into a very hopeful guy who got the girl, Sasha, and definitely affected the storyline in that way too. So they both definitely had a lot of things that make them great episodes. Ones that I really enjoy, and I know that Four Walls and a Roof is definitely going to take a spot on my top 10 most favorite episodes. I don't know where yet, but I know that it definitely will do that. I mean, it's absolutely an amazing episode. Um, and the thing is there are differences between them that you do notice, and I think that makes one better than the other in some ways. It depends on your viewpoint, but one of those things is I feel like the Four Walls and a Roof and Too Far Gone kind of reverse themselves a little bit in regards to the way that the audience reacted to them. The fact that Too Far Gone was like a mid-season finale, we knew something big was going to happen. I think that we all expected that. And, when we saw the governor's group lined up out there and Rick's group in the prison, we knew without a doubt those groups were going to start opening fire on each other. If you didn't think that, I mean, I'm not here to insult people, but I don't see how you could not come to the conclusion that those two groups were going to open fire on each other. I mean, you knew it was going to happen. And I think that when you watch that episode, you're more waiting for it and it's going to happen. And then once it happens, you're like, oh my gosh, and just, you're on the edge of your seat for the entire last part of the episode, wondering who's going to live, who's going to die, what's going on, and just a lot of chaos going on at that time. Whereas in Four Walls and a Roof, it's more of you don't know what's going to happen until it happens. I don't think, I mean, I predicted a little bit that maybe this was going to be the episode where everything ended with the Hunters, but I didn't know that 100% for sure. And I don't think a lot of people did out there either. I mean, it's the third episode of the season, so you're not really expecting that something big is going to happen. And I think that that's one of the things that Four Walls and a Roof has over Too Far Gone is, they had the element of surprise where you didn't know that was going to happen until you see, two gunshots fire and two hunters go down, and exactly from there the rest of those hunters are screwed. But you didn't know it was going to happen until it happened. Whereas again, I think that it was just very predictable from the start. Once, Herschel and Michonne were taken and the governor's group stood outside the prison, that those groups were going to open fire on each other and it wasn't going to end pretty. So we knew that. But Four Walls and a Roof definitely took a lot of people by surprise. And I really think that that is something that lends it to be, better in that sense, in the element of surprise. They definitely surprised us in that episode. I didn't see it coming until right then and there. And I think that that was something that definitely made it very good. One thing I think that makes Too Far Gone a little bit better than Four Walls and a Roof is just the effect on the storyline that it had versus Four Walls and a Roof. I think that, the ramifications of losing the prison, losing Herschel, I think were a lot more significant for the group and for us as viewers in the story versus killing off the hunters and losing Bob. Don't get me wrong. Bob was a very great character. I loved Bob, and a lot of people did too, but he wasn't around as much as Herschel was. And, I think that a lot of people may have been able to predict that Bob was going to die. And not just that, but I think that, again, when you take a look at everything that happened in Too Far Gone, it just completely changed the storyline. Whereas the Four Walls and a Roof doesn't necessarily change everything. It only changes a little part of the story where, okay, we no longer have to worry about these people that are trying to eat us, but we still have the plan of getting to Washington. We still have the plan of waiting for Daryl and Carol to get back. So, yeah, the groups definitely do separate, and a lot of things are going on, but it doesn't have, like, the big, substantial, total game changer of, wow, we lost the prison, we lost Herschel, we lost the governor. Whoa, it doesn't have the same ring to it. And I think that was part of it that I think, Too Far Gone does a better job of just totally changing everything that's going on in the story. So that definitely lends itself there. Brutality wise, though, I think that Four Walls and a Roof definitely is more of a changing of the characters over Too Far Gone. Because really, what Too Far Gone shows us is the governor is ultimately a very bad guy, and he's going to do whatever he's going to do, and he's going to hurt whoever he has to hurt in order to, you know, better himself in his position in the apocalypse. And if that took cutting off Herschel's head and storming the prison, that's what he was going to do. But in the end, he burned every single bridge that he ever made, and as a result, he ends up dead with nobody there to help him except for Lily, who's going to put a bullet in his head just because of how much she hates him. I don't feel like it really lended to the other characters, though. You know, it doesn't really change the story for them in that episode. It wasn't like there was any real big development for any other character in that episode. It was more about later and the effects that, the characters felt that, it did it later. Whereas in this episode, it was really focused on a lot of different characters. And I just loved how, it focused a lot on Rick, being the great leader that he is, and just being able to take control of the situation, and just to see the brutality of this group killing the hunters in a very sadistic way, which we're not going to say they don't deserve it. I mean, we're not going to say that, but you also look at the morality of the Walking Dead world, and when you're in that kind of a situation, a bullet to the head is more humane and appropriate, and it makes sense. But no, I mean, they went to town on them, which is kind of what they do in the comics. I mean, I think in the comics they make it a little bit worse, but we can't show that on TV. But I think that, you saw this brutal nature come back out of Rick, and you saw that flare up in Sasha. Abraham is shown. You just see that, The Walking Dead is having a big impact on these characters, and it showed that more in in Four Walls and a Roof, whereas Too Far Gone, it really was more focused on the governor, and who he was and why his story came to an end versus the other characters changing. But I think it also did a very good job of demonstrating just how far Rick had come from him being the way he was in season 3. So again, it does show a lot of things, but I think that there was more character development and more, shocking moments for the characters in Four Walls and a Roof that makes it better in that sense. So, I think that they both definitely have a lot of great things going on. But I still think that Too Far Gone, nonetheless, still stands out to me a little more as the better episode. And the reason why I say that is just because, again, the magnitude of the entire episode just was so shocking, was so much of a game changer. It had more moments when you were on the edge of your seat. And I think that's, again, something that, no other episode of Walking Dead has really ever been able to do. I mean, yeah, you have your moments, but I mean, Too Far Gone, from the very get-go, you're like, oh, holy moly, what's going on here, and just waiting for the keg to explode, is something that episode gave a very unique feeling for audience members that really no other episode has done since then. Each episode has had its moments, but again, I think that just the change that happened in Too Far Gone still resonates in a lot of us that we just don't get from other episodes. And it's just because the story being the way it is, sometimes you just can't, change that. Now, I think maybe later on down the road there's going to be an episode that will definitely dethrone Too Far Gone, but I just think it also the ending was a lot better than Four Walls and a Roof. I don't really know how you could have ended any better in Four Walls and a Roof. Like, I understand you need to introduce things for later, but just that iconic scene of seeing the prison in ruin, seeing the governor get shot, and then seeing Rick and Carl leave and that don't look back. Just that ending hits you a lot more, and it definitely nailed the final nail in the coffin for the prison storyline, for everything. It's a very iconic moment that I think captures the entire episode, whereas Four Walls and a Roof kind of just, leaves you off with like a come on out of the woods, whoever you are with Daryl, and not having the same impact on us as Too Far Gone. But again, definitely there are a lot of things that Four Walls and a Roof did that were better than Too Far Gone, no doubt in my mind. And there's a lot of episodes where, I could sit here and say, give me 2 episodes and I will tell you exactly, what those episodes did better than that one or the other. I can do that. But I just think the overall quality of Too Far Gone was a lot better than Four Walls and a Roof. But Four Walls and a Roof is definitely a great episode, and no doubt in my mind, Walking Dead Season 5 has definitely done a great job of making a better story. I have enjoyed it so much more than the introduction to Season 4. I mean, the first 3 episodes of Season 4 aren't bad, but when you compare them to Season 5, totally different worlds, and I am loving it. I am loving this season so far, and I have no doubt that we're going to see a lot of great things. So definitely a lot to look forward to, but I have to choose Too Far Gone still over Four Walls and a Roof, and that's what I've decided. So let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments, what you think of my analysis. If you think I'm right, let me know. If you think there's some things that I didn't really look at, or some things that I should look at in a different manner, let me know. I have no problem with, getting constructive criticism on this, and I would love to be able to respond to your comments and, take into consideration things that I haven't yet. So don't be afraid to comment. Don't be afraid to subscribe. I have more videos coming. Once the 4th episode is over next week, I'm going to do an updated character death predictions video, because now that once I see Beth, I might be able to make a little bit more of a prediction of where her story's going. So I want to be able to do that, and I have a couple of other things coming up as well for both Walking Dead and Z Nation. So subscribe and you'll be able to know when those videos are coming up. And if you have any video topics that you would like for me to do, any suggestions, don't be afraid to suggest. I would be more than willing to do them. Thank you, everybody, and I really hope that you have a wonderful evening. Thank you.